Number 1. Dignity of the human person. The inherent dignity of the human person, as he or she was created in God's image and likeness, serves as the foundation of all Catholic social teaching. Because of this, the Church advocates for integral human development, which considers each person's well-being in all spheres: economic, political, social, ecological, and spiritual. A just society can become a reality only when it is based on the respect of the transcendent dignity of the human person. The person represents the ultimate end of society. The social order and its development must invariably work to the benefit of the human person, not the other way around. Number 2. Common good. When establishing our society's economic, political, and legal framework, we must all take into account the good of others as well as the good of the entire human family. The only way human dignity can be achieved or safeguarded is via our interactions with society as a whole. Locally and globally, we must love our neighbors and put the welfare of the human family before personal gain. God intended the earth with everything contained in it for the use of all human beings and peoples. Thus, under the leadership of justice and in the company of charity, created goods should be in abundance for all in like manner. Number 3. Solidarity. As members of the human family, we are all interdependent and related to one another. The concept of neighborly love is universal. We must work together to find solutions by recognizing ourselves in one another. Solidarity is the understanding that we are all in this together, and the determination to build up the neighborhood and advance a just society. Solidarity is a word that means much more than some acts of sporadic generosity. It is to think and to act in terms of community, of the priority of the life of all over the preparation of goods by a few. It is also to fight against the structural causes of poverty, inequality, lack of work, land and housing, the denial of social and labor rights. It is to confront the destructive effects of the empire of money, forced displacement, painful immigrations, the traffic of persons, drugs, war, violence, and all those realities that many of you suffer and that we are all called to transform. Number 4. Preferential option for the poor. Any society's moral character can be judged by how it treats its most vulnerable members. The idea behind this notion is that since God's love is for everyone, we should give priority to those who most need our solidarity rather than focusing only on the impoverished. The needs of the poor take priority over the desires of the rich, the rights of workers over the maximization of profits, the preservation of the environment over uncontrolled industrial expansion, production to meet social needs over production for military purposes.
Now let's talk about stewardship of creation. Earth is a holy place. Creation itself has an intrinsic worth. We have an obligation to safeguard the ecological diversity, aesthetic value, and ability of the earth to support life. We must all work together to protect it for upcoming generations. So what this is basically saying is because that we are the creation of God, or we have the capacity to rationalize things and make change on our surroundings to protect life at all costs, so that upcoming generations, so that your little brother, little sister, your kids and their kids can enjoy the life that we have on earth. Subsidiarity and the role of government. The state serves as a tool to advance the common good, safeguard human rights, and advance human dignity. According to the principle of subsidiarity, such governmental responsibilities should be carried out locally feasible as long as they can be done so effectively. Higher officials of government must step in when those subsidiarities can't. The idea that every person has a right to take part in society's economical, political, and cultural life, as well as in decisions that have an impact on their community, goes hand in hand with this premise. So, an example of this could be an effective plan towards calamities. So, how would they respond well enough when a typhoon happens? What is their game plan on those? And when issues become a bit challenging on them It's up to the higher officials naman to get in touch with LGUs on how they can address problems in those communities. So for instance, there might be the problems upon the disruption of human rights. So it's those types of hand-in-hand impactful community changes that the roles of government need to address and need to have a commonality on what the people need. Now, let's talk about participation. Humans are social creatures, and how we coexist with each other has an impact on both the dignity of the individual and the development of society. Everyone has the right to participate in their community and in decisions that have an impact on their lives, and they cannot be denied that right for any reason whatsoever. Since we are social creatures, we have rational souls, therefore, we can express whatever our beliefs are. Whether may be our political stances, we have the right to express that.
Rights and responsibilities. All of us have a right to the necessities of human dignity. What we require to live as God intended results in rights. These are inextricably tied to our need to protect others' rights, which requires us to refrain from taking more than is necessary to pursue our own interests at the expense of those of others. A well-ordered human society requires that people recognize and observe their mutual rights and duties. It also demands that each contribute generously to the establishment of civic order in which rights and duties are more sincerely and effective. Economic justice. People must benefit from the economy, not the other way around. Everyone has a right to a respectable employment together with an equal pay and working conditions. Work is a sort of ongoing participation in God's creation, not only a means of subsisting. Global interconnectedness has led to the emergence of a new political power, that of consumers and their associations. This is a phenomenon that needs to be further explored, as it contains positive elements to be encouraged as well as excesses to be avoided. It is good for people to realize that purchasing is always amoral and not simply economic. Hence, the consumer has a specific social responsibility which goes hand in hand with the social responsibility of the enterprise. A more incisive role for consumers, as long as they themselves are not manipulative by associations that do not truly represent them, is a desirable element for building economic democracy. It is by Pope Benedict XVI, Caritas in Veritate 66. Lastly, peace. To have a healthy relationship with both God and one another, the result of justice and the fruit of charity are peace. It represents charity in action. Peace is not merely an absence of war, nor it can be reduced solely to the maintenance of a balance of power between enemies. Nor is it brought about by dictatorship. Instead, it is rightly and appropriately called an enterprise of justice. It is by Second Vatican Council, Gaudium et Spes 78.